Never had that feeling where your stomach just drops like the world tilts sideways for a second. That was me innocently scrolling through my girlfriend Sarah's girls' trip photos on Instagram. Sun-sea cocktails with her friends. It all looked perfect. Until it wasn't. Because in one picture, a mirror reflection in the fancy hotel bathroom showed a guy standing behind her, not just any guy. Someone I knew. Someone she swore she barely talked to anymore. My blood ran cold instantly. That little voice I'd been ignoring for weeks. The one whispering about late nights, sudden work trips, and her phone always face down. It screamed Sarah wasn't just my girlfriend. We'd built a life together for 3 years. Trust was everything, or so I thought. Seeing him there, in her private space during a trip supposedly just for her and the girls, it shattered that completely. The proof was undeniable, hidden in plain sight. I felt sick, angry, heartbroken, and weirdly numb all at once. How long, why him, was any of it real? I didn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I just stared at that photo. The betrayal burning a hole in my chest. I knew I had to confront her. I needed answers even if I dreaded them. So when she got home buzzing with stories about her amazing vacation, I waited. I showed her the picture on my phone, the look on her face, the panic, the guilt flashing in her eyes. It confirmed everything. But then, instead of the tears or apologies I expected, something else happened. Something I never saw coming. Her expression shifted. She didn't deny it. She didn't explain. She just laughed. And then she said the one thing that turned my world upside down all over again. What happened next? Well, let's just say my confrontation didn't go anything like I planned. I walked in looking for the truth, and walked out questioning everything I thought I knew. What she told me, it changed everything. Key elements used. Strong hook. Starts immediately with a visceral feeling of discovery. Stomach drops. World tilts. Sets the scene. Establishes the seemingly innocent context. Girls' trip photos before the twist. Reveals the discovery. Clearly describes the reflection reveal and its devastating impact. Builds character and stakes. Briefly introduces Sarah and the 3-year relationship, emphasizing trust to heighten the betrayal. Creates suspense, mentions ignored red flags and the internal turmoil after the discovery. Sets up confrontation, shows the protagonist's resolve and dread leading up to the face-to-face cliffhanger. Ends mid-confrontation with the shocking, unexpected reaction, laughter, and the hint of a devastating revelation. What she told me, it changed everything, leaving the actual backfire an explanation for the main video. Natural tone, uses conversational language buzzing with stories. Weirdly numb, shattered that completely human-centric, focuses on raw emotions. Betrayal, confusion, shock, dread rather than just plot points. Keywords naturally included girlfriend, girls' trip photos, reflection, hotel room, cheating, trust, betrayal, red flags, confrontation, proof, emotional shock, policy safe, focuses on emotional fallout and discovery, avoids graphic details, revenge plotting or harmful actions. The backfire is implied to be emotional verbal. Her laugh wasn't joyful, it was sharp, brittle, almost relieved. "Oh, that," she said, waving a dismissive hand at the damning photo on my phone like it was a silly meme. The panic in her eyes from seconds before was gone, replaced by something colder, something calculating. "You really thought this was just a girl's trip? Seriously?" My own anger, which had been a white-hot raw moments before, sputtered out, replaced by pure, icy confusion. This wasn't the script. Where were the tears, the begging, the frantic excuses? To understand how we got here, you need to know Sarah wasn't just some fling. We met in college, built something real. 3 years of shared apartments, inside jokes, supporting each other through job losses and family stuff. I genuinely thought she was my person. The foundation felt solid, but looking back, maybe there were cracks I smoothed over, little signs I explained away because I loved her. Like how she'd become super protective of her phone lately, always angling the screen away, or those sudden late work dinners that seemed to happen more often. And yeah, the guy in the reflection, Mark, an old friend from her hometown she claimed she barely spoke to anymore. I never liked how he looked at her, but she always brushed it off, saying I was paranoid. Was I the naive one all along? Standing there in our living room, the air thick with the scent of her vacation sunscreen and the heavy weight of betrayal, I felt completely unmoored. Thought it was just a girl's trip, I echoed, my voice sounding strangely thin. "Sarah, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Who is he really? And why are you acting like I'm the crazy one for finding out you lied?" Her dismissive laugh echoed in my head. It felt like a door slamming shut on the relationship I thought we had. She crossed her arms, that cold, almost smirk still playing on her lips, finding out, "Please, you have no idea what you've actually found," she said, her voice low and deliberate. "Maybe you should ask yourself why you were really looking so hard at those pictures. Or better yet, what you've been hiding." Her words hit me like a physical blow. Hiding? What was she talking about? The confrontation had just taken a terrifying, unexpected turn, plunging me into a deeper, darker mystery than just infidelity. Key elements achieved. Immediate continuation. Picks up directly from the cliffhanger, her laugh and dismissive reaction. Background. And context provides essential backstory on the relationship. 3 years. Met in college, built a life to deepen the emotional stakes and make the betrayal hurt more. Foreshadowing and red flags. Highlights past ignored signs, phone secrecy. Late nights, Mark's presence showing the narrator wasn't completely blind, adding complexity. Deepened character. Shows Sarah's shift from initial panic to cold, calculated defensiveness and deflection, making her more than just a cheater. She's becoming an antagonist. Heightened mystery introduces new unsettling questions. What did she mean? You really thought this was just a girls' trip? What has the narrator supposedly been hiding? What is the deeper, darker mystery she hints at? Sustained suspense and unresolved tension ends on a new, even more confusing cliffhanger. Her accusation against him, refusing to resolve the initial cheating reveal or explain her reaction. Natural tone and human focus. Uses relatable language, built something real. Inside jokes. Foundation felt solid, felt completely unmoored. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Focuses on the narrator's shock, confusion, and emotional whiplash. Keywords naturally woven. Girlfriend, lies, betrayal, trust broken, red flags, gut feeling, confrontation, emotional shock, secrets, hiding, infidelity, mystery, policy safe. Focuses on emotional fallout, confusion, and verbal confrontation. No harmful actions, revenge, or explicit details. The mystery introduced is psychological, relational. Hiding. The word felt like a sucker punch. My mind scrambled, completely thrown. Just minutes ago, I was the one confronting her betrayal, heart pounding, holding undeniable proof. Now, she stood there, calm and accusing, like I was the villain. What are you even talking about, Sarah? What could I possibly be hiding that makes this okay? My voice cracked, the anger mixing with the desperate confusion. To understand how disorienting this was, you gotta know how things were. For years it felt easy, we shared everything. Late nights talking about dumb dreams, supporting each other, through tough times with family, celebrating stupid little wins. I trusted her implicitly. That's why those little changes, the phone secrecy, the sudden overtime, her pulling away emotionally hurt so much. Even before the picture, I'd brush it off, telling myself I was being insecure, that long-term relationships have ebbs and flows. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe I wasn't being attentive enough. I'd doubled down, trying to be the perfect partner, planning dates, listening more. Now, looking back, every time I tried harder she seemed to drift further. Was that guilt or something else? Mark, just thinking his name sent a fresh wave of nausea through me. He'd always been around the periphery, an old friend she insisted meant nothing. But the way he'd look at her, sometimes possessive almost. I'd mentioned it once, years ago. She'd laughed it off, called me silly, said Mark was just awkward. But after that, she'd casually mention him less and less. I thought she was respecting my feelings. Now I wonder if it was deliberate, making sure I wouldn't connect the dots. Standing there, the air crackling with hostility, her accusation hung between us like a thick fog. What I've been hiding, I repeated, feeling dizzy. Sarah, that's insane. I've given you everything, been an open book. What is this? Some kind of twisted justification for cheating because finding Mark in your hotel room during your girls' trip isn't some misunderstanding? She didn't flinch. Her eyes stayed locked on mine, that unnerving calm still there. Justification? No, protection, she said, her voice low and sharp. Protection from you. From what you did. Did you really think I wouldn't find out, or did you just think I was too stupid to figure it out? Her words slammed into me. Protection from me. What I did, my blood ran cold. This wasn't about cheating anymore. This was something darker, something I didn't understand. What on earth did she think she knew? Why this works? Seamless continuation picks up right after Sarah's shocking accusation. Hiding. Deepened background shows the normal past of the relationship, shared dreams, support, ease, to contrast sharply with the current chaos, making the fall harder and Sarah's accusation more jarring. Character insight reveals the narrator's past actions, doubting himself, trying harder to be a good partner, making him more relatable and vulnerable, adding complexity to why he missed signs. Expanded mystery dives deeper into Mark's history and the subtle changes in Sarah's behavior before the trip, planting seeds for potential alternative interpretations. Heightened stakes. Sarah's new words, protection from you. What you did escalate the conflict far beyond simple infidelity into terrifying unknown territory. Sustained suspense ends on an even bigger, more confusing cliffhanger than before. The core cheating reveal is nowhere near resolved, and a massive new, darker mystery, what did I do, is introduced. Natural, human tone, uses conversational phrasing you gotta know, felt easy, sucker punch, mind scrambled, what on earth? Focuses intensely on the narrator's emotional whiplash, anger, confusion, bewilderment, dread. Relevant keywords, trust issues, relationship doubts, gaslighting implied by her deflection, emotional manipulation, hidden secrets, unexpected, twist, a psychological thriller vibe, betrayal trauma, unresolved conflict, policy safe. focuses entirely on emotional fallout, confusion, verbal accusations, and psychological tension. No harmful actions, revenge, or explicit details. The mystery revolves around perception and undisclosed past events. Protection from me. The words felt alien, impossible. My head was spinning. Just seconds ago, I was the wronged partner, holding proof of her deception. Now, she stood there, spine straight, eyes blazing with something that looked disturbingly like righteousness, like she was the victim. What did I do, Sarah? My voice rose raw with frustration and a creeping, icy fear. Tell me, because I swear I have no idea what you're talking about. This feels insane. Think about it. For 3 years, I thought I knew this woman. Knew her smile, her fears, the way she took her coffee. Knew the little scar on her knee. From that hiking trip, knew the sound of her laugh when something genuinely surprised her. That laugh was gone now, replaced by this chilling calm. What could possibly justify this? What lie had taken root in her mind? My brain raced backwards, scanning months, years, searching for any moment, any argument, any misunderstanding big enough to explain her cold fury and this bizarre accusation. Had I forgotten a big anniversary, said something cruel in anger I'd apologized for? Worked too much. Nothing felt big enough, bad enough, to warrant this level of betrayal and deflection. Mark lingered in my thoughts. A dark shadow. Was he feeding her lies, poisoning her against me? But why? We'd barely interacted. The few times we met was awkward pleasantries. Did he want her that badly, or was there something else? Something older, between them that I never knew about? Her sudden connection with him, hidden behind the girl's trip facade, felt too deliberate, too calculated. Was this whole thing planned? The silence in the room was suffocating. She watched me flounder, that faint, unsettling smirk still playing on her lips. It wasn't the look of someone caught. It was the look of someone who believed they held all the cards. No idea. She finally repeated, her voice dripping with disbelief. Really? You're going to stand there, looking me in the eye, and pretend you don't remember last October? That whole week, last October, my stomach clenched. What about last October? It felt like a lifetime ago. Work was brutal. My dad had been sick. It was a blur of stress. But, Sarah, what about last October? I demanded, desperation clawing at me. What happened that week that you think gives you the right to do this? Her expression hardened, her eyes narrowing. Don't play dumb, she hissed. It's pathetic. I know exactly where you were when you told me you were working, late, and it wasn't the office. She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. I have proof. Key elements achieved. Direct continuation starts immediately reacting to Sarah's bombshell accusation. Protection from me. Deepened emotional turmoil focuses intensely on the narrator's confusion, fear, and frantic mental search for meaning, making his perspective relatable and vulnerable. Character contrast highlights the stark difference between the Sarah he thought he knew, shared history, intimacy, and the cold, accusatory stranger she's become. Background weaved. In uses his frantic mental review of the relationship. 3 years knew her smile. Forgotten an anniversary. Work stress to provide context about their normal past and his genuine bewilderment. Expanded mystery introduces a specific time frame, last October, and a concrete accusation, him lying about location, making the mystery tangible, yet still unexplained. Heightened suspense. Sarah reveals she has proof, escalating the stakes dramatically and shifting the power dynamic entirely. Ends on another massive cliffhanger. Sustained unresolved tension. The original cheating is still not addressed or explained. The new mystery, what happened last October, is introduced but not resolved. Adding layers of conflict or natural and human tone, uses visceral language, head spinning, raw with frustration, icy fear, stomach clenched, desperation clawing, expresses relatable confusion and panic. Keywords naturally included, gaslighting implied by her dismissal of his confusion, deflection, psychological manipulation, hidden secrets, betrayal, trauma, trust destroyed, relationship crisis, unexpected, accusation, concrete evidence mentioned by Sarah, policy safe, focuses entirely on emotional verbal confrontation, confusion, and the revelation of an accusation, claimed proof. No violence, revenge, or explicit details. The proof and events of last October remained undefined, maintaining mystery without harmful specifics. The words "I have proof" hit me like a physical blow, sucking the air out of the room. Last October, my mind was a frantic blur of hospital waiting rooms, late nights at the office trying to meet a brutal deadline while my dad recovered from surgery, and sheer exhaustion. It was a dark, stressful fog, but cheating. Never proof of what, Sarah? My voice was barely a whisper, the anger now drowned out by a terrifying wave of confusion and dread. What do you think you know about that week? Her cold confidence didn't waver. She pulled out her phone, her fingers tapping with deliberate slowness, drawing out the agony. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the frantic pounding of my own heart. This couldn't be happening. I'd confronted her about Mark, about the blatant lie of the girls' trip, about the hotel room betrayal caught in a reflection, and somehow, I was the one on trial. The sheer absurdity of it warred with the icy fear spreading through me. What twisted reality had I stepped into? "Remember Tuesday night, October 17th, she asked, her voice dripping with icy contempt. "You texted me at 8 p.m., stuck at the office, crunch time, gonna be late. Don't wait up, sweet, considerate, right?" She held up her phone, showing me the text. My own words stared back, innocent, mundane. "Except," she continued, her eyes locking onto mine with terrifying intensity, "you weren't at the office, were you?" My blood ran cold. I had been working late that week, a lot. But the specific night, my memory was hazy, a collage of stress and fatigue. I was working, Sarah, I stammered, trying to grasp at concrete details. "We had the Henderson presentation. The next morning I was buried in it." "Buried, all right," she scoffed. "Just not in spreadsheets." She swiped on her phone, then turned the screen towards me again. It was a photo, grainy, taken from a distance but unmistakable. It was me, standing outside the Harborview Hotel downtown. A place nowhere near my office. The timestamp in the corner, October 17th, 8:45 p.m. My stomach lurched. The Harborview, why would I be there? Work dinners were usually at corporate spots, not boutique hotels. Panic seized me. What was I doing there? The memory was a black hole. "And before you try some pathetic excuse," she cut in, her voice sharp, "as glasses isn't the only one, there's more. Pictures of you leaving that hotel later that night, and guess who else was conveniently staying there that week? Someone who suddenly started getting very friendly texts from you around that time, texts you thought you'd deleted." She paused, letting the implication hang thick and poisonous in the air. "It wasn't just one night, was it? It was your whole pattern. Lying about work, sneaking around, while I was home, worried about you, worried about your dad." Her voice cracked, but the fury behind it was undimmed. "So don't you dare stand there and play the victim with your little mirror picture. You started this fire a long time ago. Mark, he wasn't the beginning, he was just ... collateral damage. Someone who actually listened when I found out what you'd really been doing." The ground felt like it was crumbling beneath my feet. The Harborview, the date, the photos. It felt horribly real, yet completely impossible. Who took those pictures? Who was she talking about? And the texts? What texts? A terrifying thought exploded in my mind. Had someone been framing me? Setting this up for months? Or worse, was there some awful forgotten truth buried in the stress and exhaustion of that terrible October? A truth my mind had completely blocked out. The reflection in her photo had shattered my trust. Now her proof threatened to shatter my entire understanding of reality. One thing screamed in my head. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. This was a trap, and I had no idea how deep it went, or who had really set the wheels in motion. The Harborview photos felt like physical blows. That was me. The date burned into my retinas. October 17th, the night Dad was in the worst post-op pain. The night I knew I'd texted Sarah I was stuck at work. Panic clawed at my throat. "How? Why?" "Sarah, listen," I choked out, my voice thick with desperation. "That week, Dad was dying in that hospital. The Henderson deal was falling apart. I was barely sleeping, barely thinking. I remember the stress, the fear ... but being at that hotel. I swear, I don't remember that. Who took these? Who did you think I was texting?" Her smirk faltered for just a second, replaced by a flicker of doubt, quickly masked by renewed anger. Playing amnesia now convenient. She swiped again, pulling up a contact photo on her phone. My blood froze. Claire, my dad's hospice nurse. Kind, efficient, always texting updates about Dad's condition, med changes, visiting hours. Claire, I gasped, the absurdity cutting through the panic. "Sarah, that's Dad's nurse. Those texts were about him, his pain levels, his meds. I deleted them later because seeing them, reliving that week, hurt too damn much." Silence crashed, down heavier than before. Sarah stared at the phone, then at me, her expression unreadable. "Nurse," she whispered, the icy certainty finally cracking. "But ... the photos, the hotel ... double quotes." Suddenly it clicked. The Harborview wasn't near my office, but it was directly across the street from the hospital. The only decent coffee place open. Late, the only place I could escape the sterile smell of antiseptic and despair for 10 minutes. I went for coffee. Sarah, the memory flooded back, sharp and painful. Just coffee. That photo, it was taken leaving the coffee shop, heading back to the hospital. Look at the timestamp. Visiting hours ended at 9 p.m. I was rushing back to see Dad before they kicked me out. My voice broke. I was drowning, trying to handle everything alone because I didn't want to burden you more. "And you ... you thought that was me cheating." The color drained from Sarah's face. The righteous fury vanished, replaced by something raw and awful, the dawning horror of a terrible mistake. She looked at the photos again, zooming in, seeing the coffee shop awning in the background she'd missed before, the direction I was walking towards the hospital, not away. The fabricated narrative built on grainy images and her own insecurities crumbled. "But ... Mark ... she stammered, her voice small, lost. He showed me these. He said he saw you there acting suspicious. He said he was worried about me. Mark, the final piece slammed into place. His sudden reappearance in her life. His subtle whispers. His convenient presence near the hospital that week. He just happened to be visiting his own sick aunt nearby. It wasn't concern. It was a calculated setup. He'd exploited her fears during my absence, fed her paranoia with carefully framed evidence, all to isolate her, to make her vulnerable, to position himself as the trusted confidant, the savior. The girl's trip was his ultimate move, capitalizing on the rift he engineered. I looked at Sarah, not with anger now, but with a profound, weary sadness. The reflection in her photo had broken us. Her accusations, built on Mark's lies, had shattered whatever fragile trust remained. Mark wasn't worried about you, Sarah, I said quietly. The fight gone out of me. He saw an opportunity. He used your fear, my stress, my stupid secrecy, trying to protect you, and he used it to get exactly what he wanted. You doubting me, trusting him, and you did. You chose to believe him over everything we had. The truth hung in the air, brutal and complete. The proof was a manipulation. My secrecy, though misguided, wasn't betrayal. Hers, fueled by deception, was. Her eyes met mine, filled with a devastating mix of shame, regret, and the crushing realization of what Mark had truly done and what she had allowed to happen. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The confrontation was over. The betrayal, too, was real, just not the one either of us had seen coming. The guy in the reflection was just the symptom. The poison had been brewing long before, poured carefully into her ear by someone she thought was a friend. The collateral damage wasn't just Mark, it was us. I turned and walked out, leaving the shattered pieces of our life behind, the silence screaming louder than any accusation. Walking out of that apartment felt like stepping out of a collapsing building. The silence behind me wasn't empty. It was suffocating, thick with the wreckage of everything we'd built and the poison Mark had poured into it. I didn't look back. There was nothing left to see but the ghost of the person I thought I knew and the chilling evidence of how completely she'd been played. The days that followed were a blur of numbness and sharp, unexpected pain. Moving out was mechanical. Packing 3 years into boxes felt like burying something. Seeing her things, a forgotten hairbrush, a favorite mug, was like picking at a fresh wound. I blocked her number. The temptation to scream, to demand she see the monstrous scale of Mark's manipulation, was overwhelming, but pointless. The trust was ash. She'd chosen, repeatedly, to believe his whispers over my truth, even when faced with the flimsiness of his proof. Her trip with him, hidden behind the girl's lie, wasn't just a betrayal. It was the final, devastating act in the script he wrote. I heard through a mutual friend, later, about the fallout. Sarah, reeling from the collapse of her own narrative, finally confronted Mark with the inconsistencies of the coffee shop awning in the background of the harbor view photo, the timeline that only made sense if I was rushing to the hospital. Predictably, he crumbled. No grand villain speech, just pathetic excuses and bluster before he vanished from her life, leaving her alone with the crushing weight of her mistake, her misplaced trust, and the relationship she'd destroyed with her own hands. She tried reaching out, once, a long email filled with apologies, explanations about her own insecurities Mark exploited, pleas for understanding. I didn't reply. Understanding wasn't the same as forgiveness, and forgiveness felt miles away. Healing isn't linear. Some days the anger at Mark's calculated cruelty burns hot. Other days, it's the profound sadness for Sarah's blindness and the life we lost that hits hardest. But slowly, the fog lifts. I started therapy, unpacking the trauma of betrayal and the toxic gaslighting I endured. I leaned on real friends, the ones who offered support without judgment. I found a small, quiet apartment filled only with my own things, my own peace. It's a different life now, quieter, maybe a little lonelier sometimes, but it's real. There's no walking on eggshells, no hidden phones, no deciphering reflections or hidden men. The lessons are carved deep. Trust your gut when something feels off. Communicate openly even when it's hard, and be terrifyingly careful about who you let whisper in your ear. Most importantly, true healing starts when you walk away from the poison, even if it means leaving someone you loved drowning in it behind. My peace now is a quiet kind, hard one, and built on the ashes of a trust I'll never take for granted again. It's enough. It has to be.